Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris Orme. Today we're back with Football Manager 21, our Swansea City save, and we are here at the start of a brand new season with plenty left to update you on. A lot of player turnover, but yeah, we saw kind of how last season ended and the kind of run that we went on. As you can see, if we just slowly scroll through the fixture list, a pretty good set of results. That loss to Liverpool there, just the only loss for the majority of the campaign. And then towards the end, the Champions League quarterfinal against Chelsea over 2 legs didn't go our way. The Villa game, not a good game. Brentford as well. So we lost 3 in the Premier League, 2 in the Champions League, 5 all season. Before those 5 came in the final 2 months, and 3 of those were back to back. So not the amazing end, but we did pick up some good wins, which, of course, enabled us to win the FA Cup, the League Cup, the UEFA Super Cup on penalties over Bayern Munich 0-0. But we managed to get that done, didn't miss a penalty there. And then, of course, last season's Premier League title by 9 points from Liverpool. We were 3 games clear, and it was quite an interesting top 6. It was, well, we can't see the things over the season. It was quite an interesting top 6 because United was strong early. Chelsea then dominated for a while. Both dropped away quite rapidly at points, and Liverpool were the team that stepped up at the end to really push us the closest. So an interesting battle. Man City finishing 10th, and that plays into our Phil Foden idea of bringing Phil in, because, oh my god, Phil Foden with a 62 recommendation. That is, that's kind of scary, boys. I'm not going to lie. So, interesting. But yeah, to bring Phil in, like, he wants Champions League football. And I knew that if they missed out, there was a shot he'd go on the transfer list, and that price would be somewhere around the £100 million mark. Something that we'd be able to really do and bring in Phil. So that was my idea. That was my plot and plan. And it didn't quite work out that way. Sadly, it didn't quite work out that way. As you can see, would be a really good player. He's young. He's English. That does fit. We need another attacking midfielder behind Amir. Vasquez Sousa didn't make it last year. Didn't really like what he was offering. So we've gone a different way. But there's still room for a Phil Foden type player. But the issue was, yes, they failed to qualify for the Champions League through the league, and it was a terrible start. They're opening 3 games. Losses on the road to Sheffield United and then us, and in between a 0-0 at home against Brentford. Getting knocked out the League Cup away to Swindon early doors, losing at home to Burnley, away to Palace. The first few months were just kind of brutal. They settled into their rhythm, but then they had a really bad February and start of March, which, 4 away games they lost in a row. Not great. But then they did end up doing quite well for the rest of the season. And in the Europas, they knocked out Hoffenheim, Olympiacos, Lille, and finally AC Milan in the final. And as winners of the Europa League, as we know very well from last season, you qualify for the Champions League the following year. And my dreams of Phil Foden drop away for another year, boys. They dropped away for another year. So that kind of sucks, but Giovanni Reyna's got a better scout report right now. And he's probably going to be cheaper than Phil. And he kind of looks a little bit better than Phil. And he's younger. And he's still English. He's born in Sunderland. Yes, he plays for America. Yes, he could have chosen Portugal. But he's born in Sunderland. He is an English player. And now my thoughts are, by the end of this season, if the dream of Phil Foden is slipping away, is Reina our choice? Because looking at your position, right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I don't think that's ever going to happen. To be honest, I really don't think that's ever going to happen. Phil Foden, I'm not sure, but again, I got a feeling that may or may not happen, depending on what Man City do this year, but it's going to be expensive. I'm really, really not sure. Ødegaard would be really nice again in that attacking midfield role, but he's at United. He's being paid a ton. He is possibly out of our range. And then the two strikers, I would bring in Haaland and Mbappe. Like, they're just so good. But I'm just going to say right now, unless something crazy happens, I don't think there's a realistic shot for me to get Ødegaard, Mbappe, Haaland, or Trent Alexander-Arnold. United are too good right now. Liverpool are too good right now. Mbappe is the best player in the world and will be for some time. And PSG have the money to really keep him. 500,000 a week is a little bit above our pay grades. We can afford it, but it's a little bit above. So let's dial back down. We'll focus on Phil Foden. But Reina is wanted by Chelsea. And I want to put a bid in. I don't want a percentage of the next one. I want to see where we are. So ballpark. We're going to start at 65 million. We're going to get 120 back with this 13. So probably about 130, I would say. Which is 65 above. 65 above. A lot of money. Now, we could fit this into the transfer budget, and it'd be pretty much our only deal of the year, more likely. But for him to be in January coming in, I think that's a really good pickup. I want to see kind of where we get this down, because the actual price isn't that high. The actual price is in the ballpark of, I think like 97 million. I think that's the ballpark figure because, you know, half of 65 is 32.5. You take that away from the figure they got or add it to the figure that we bid, which is 65, and we're around 97 million. So we're looking at under 100 million for Reina. A lot of money, but it's a lot of player, and it's a player for the future. So, okay, I know roughly then how we can do that deal, where it all comes together. This is kind of the team right now, although for right now, I'm going to re-put Sanchez in goal, because this is actually a starting 11. So, Sanchez, 3-star. Blasco and Facey at fullback, 2.5 and 3. Centre-backs, Rincon at 3, Metham 3.5. The midfield trio, Cook at 3, Tonali at 3.5, Rice at 4 in the middle of them. Demir behind the strikers, 4.5. Yannick Helsted up top at 4.5. And Ben Beachy at 3. Bench of Vitor in goals at 3. And Matthews at 3. I would have Brooks at 3. Martin Savic at 2.5. Robert Bevan at 2.5. Cosme at 3. And then Moura at 2. That would kind of be my actual starting bench that I would like to run. So, as you can see, it's very young. We got Brooks, who would actually make way for a Foden or Reina or whoever else we can find to fill that role. And it's a very solid, experienced midfield. Metham joins in the leadership quotient as an as a vice captain. But yeah, the attacking core and the defensive core very young. The midfield is okay. Bringing in Reina would be another 21-year-old. I think that really does fit what we're doing. We get younger, we get better. that 100 million we spend, just how much of this 60 million can we actually get from teams? If we can get that money, then yeah, Brooks plus 40 for Reina. I think I'm in. I'm 100%. I do think I'm in at that point, boys. So that's kind of the idea. And again, we're keeping it English. We're keeping it young. We're keeping it British. That's kind of the core. That's kind of what we've got to be doing right now. There's quite a few players in the club. There's a little bit of lag when I load everybody. So you may or may not have actually noticed that. And I've got a little squad view here that I'd like to just quickly run us through. And then we'll go through how we got here, the transfers that are still to come. And of course, we'll decide if we want to do that Reina deal on top of them. But I want to just bring this in first. So the nationality, then second nationalities, then the trained starters. And then if I click it once for the due date, is this... That's the way I want it. So, no, actually, homegrown, and then due date, and then nationality, second nationality. There we go. So basically, my idea is I want everybody to have a British passport, and I want everybody to be trained, at least at the nation. So you can see here, people like Bowers and Reed, they'll be trained at nation. They might never be trained at club. That is fine. That's not what we need right now. But everybody trained at nation. So they all count as homegrown, and they've all at least got a British passport. So Dimitrov has a British passport. He came through the youth. That's fine. He's actually got 3 nationalities, which I don't think you can add in the 3rd nationality. And I don't think you can do anything realistically to see that, which kind of sucks. So I put nation of birth. I think at this young age, most of them are going to be... Yeah, you can see Jeffrey's got the 3rd as well. He's born on the Ivory Coast. So I don't think nation of birth is actually going to do what we want. So it's a shame we can't see that 3rd, but we're going to sort it out as we got it for now. But trust me that they've got their passport. That's fine. Just show that I do know what I'm talking about. It's there, the other nationality, and they did come through our youth academy. They've already won a couple of bits at the youth level. So that is Dimitrov. But everybody else, as you can see here, has some form of British or Irish passport. They're all trained under the club anyway. The only one that really doesn't is Yusuf Demir. And we're okay with that. He is trained at the club, which is awesome. We managed to get him early enough to get that 3 years at the club. So he might eventually choose to get an English passport for playing in there for so long. Let's see. No, we're not even working on that apparently. So yeah, he will never have that. But I'm willing to make exceptions to truly great players, and that's what Demir is for us right now. So I'm willing to break that rule, and like bringing in Mbappe, for example, he'd never be homegrown and he'd never be a British player. I don't care. I don't care. When you're good enough, you qualify. Again, Shaman, another player who has a passport, so that is all fine there. Ryan Dale, I think, has a passport as well. As far as I'm aware, they all kind of do bar Demir. They all do bar Demir. Puri, I think, can or is Coco as well. So, as you can see, though, most of them are just fine. But they're all trained through nations, if not by club. And then you got these players here, who, players like Blasco, I don't believe does have an English passport. Or a British one. There are a few that don't, but they will qualify to be at the club. So I'm still making my mind up on a lot of those kind of players, deciding where I am. But then we come to the players that don't have anything. And that's this bunch here. remove Cotter because Cotter has that English passport. But these are the players that do not have a British passport and not even homegrown and will probably, possibly never have either. Now, from the first team, you can see we were going to go with Raul Luna in goal, but we didn't. We went with a different goalie. We went with our new Brazilian goalie because he can be homegrown. So yeah, that's kind of where I went for that route. We have got a couple of Brazilians, Douglas Henrique and Paulo Jose. Just come in for decent money. Paulo, I think like 8 million as a left back, might end up selling him. Signorelli, another player we might let go of. Yannick Sauer, backup German goalkeeper, 3-star. That's what Cotter is, but Cotter's got an English passport, so we're going to keep Cotter, sell Sauer. Roland Santos, Guerra, Ignacio, exactly the same things going on with those. So I'm thinking everybody there that's out on loan, of the highlighted players, which doesn't include Cotter, who is out on loan, but everybody else, the 8 other blue names you can see at the bottom of this list, I'm thinking they just get sold. There's some great young players in there, but they don't fit what I'm going for. So that's my idea there. Yannick, like I said, Yannick can be sold at the same time. But that allows us to keep Cotter. And then we got these 3. Conchi's come up as our 4th choice centre-back this season. But he'll never be homegrown. And he'll probably never have a British passport. Again, I don't think... Yeah, we are working on it, but it's 41 days. Like, he spent last year out on loan. And so we end up probably selling Conchi. And then we got 2 centre midfielders. We got Tonali, who right now is looking really good. And I really do like... You know, he's 2 years in. There's still a way to go. 3 more years left. But we could keep him and see if he does want to turn British. But even at that point, in 3 years, he'd be a 27-year-old then who fits our needs. But he still wouldn't be a homegrown. And so I'm starting to look at the possibility of replacing him. Sadly, my main kind of choice for that would be Martin Martincevic, who I think is looking to become a phenomenal-looking player. He plays well. I really like the way he's set up. I think he's a really good player for us. But, again, at the same time, no top-end potential. While he's played good, he hasn't been, like, unbelievable. He hasn't been game-breaking. So, I don't know, he played a lot of games last year. But also, we bought him for 1.7. He's worth a lot more than that right now. And again, it's going to take so long for him to get a passport. And he'll never be homegrown. And I think he might be a casualty. So, a backup centre-back's easy to replace in the first team. But a starting midfielder and your first choice to replace that starting midfielder, that becomes a little more difficult. That does become a little bit more difficult. So that's kind of where I am in the first team in terms of trying to build for next season. And like I say, I'm not sure exactly how I deal with that. But if we do highlight, again, there's Conchi, Martincevic, and Tonali. Which means either Brook goes back into the first team as a centre mid, or Bevan gets his shot, or Munoz gets his shot. It's likely to be Bevan for Tonali, Munoz for Martincevic, and then bring up another youngster from centre mid to sit in Bevan's spot. So that's maybe kind of what we're doing. And get rid of Brooks and then rotate Demir with Gio Reyna if we want to do that. So it's kind of where my head is. Right now it seems that we need to make a couple of changes, like I say, to the team. So Carlos Vitor will play. And then on the bench, just in case we need goalies, are back on the list. So for the opening game of the season against Chelsea, which we will be looking at as the live com, once we round up the transfers, this is going to be the team we've put together. So not too bad, not too great. I mean, there's 4 3-stars, there's 2 3.5s, but at the same time, we should be solid enough at the back. We're going to be a little bit weak in defense. There's a bunch of new players, kind of all over the place, really, like Conchi and Carlos Vitor, who I don't think even speaks English. Mitch, Cosme, they're all new. So it might take a little bit for that side to gel and to get used to one another. The starting midfield 4 should be perfectly fine. The strikers should be fine. And off the bench as well. I don't think it'll take too long, but Matthews is being recalled from loan. Ryan Hughes has been called up. Doesn't look amazing. Maybe more of a target man, but he's young, he's Welsh, he's got potential. We'll see how he develops. There's plenty of other options if he doesn't. But yeah, that midfield I think is going to be the next thing to be changed, and I'm hoping it includes Gio Reyna. I'm hoping, like I say, we get good money for the others, but allowed to then really do what we want and really change how we want and focus in. But everybody being homegrown is the number one thing for me. Everybody having a British passport is secondary, but it's something I definitely want to go for. So either UK or Ireland passport would be absolutely lovely. And in the first team right now, it's Tonali and Demir that don't really fit that at all. They don't really fit that at all. But hey, I mean, like I say, Demir is homegrown. And some of these other players that aren't will be. So, all in all, it's a good place to be. All in all, it's a developing squad. It's quite nice the way we're set up. But I really thought I needed more centre-backs and central defenders. We definitely went hard on that. There's a lot of Scottish youngsters because I went and scouted their youth intake, and I thought that would be the easiest way of getting the best quality at the cheapest price. And that midpoint from the British nations would be Scotland. We got a bunch coming in. Some of them don't look amazing, I'll admit that, but I need numbers. I need numbers. There's a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds. Lars comes in earlier than that. Ezekiel is Spanish. And Daryl. Yeah, Daryl's got an English passport as well. So I tried to make sure people had English passports. But Lars doesn't. Ezekiel doesn't. Georgios does. Uzmits doesn't. Estonia, Netherlands, but looks like a beast, another attacking midfielder. If he develops well enough again, I might break my rule for him. And he is young enough right now that he could be at the club for 3 years before his 21st. And that could be, again, making him homegrown, which is absolutely delightful. More Scottish, more Danes, but with an English passport. And another rule breaker in Carlos Asprilla, because Colombian, Colombian striker named Asprilla. Tons of potential. Looks phenomenal at 15. Not that expensive. Like, I'm going to break my rules. I am going to break them. But they're going to be really good reasons why we break them. So those are still to come in. Nobody's going out just yet. And I'd like to first, before looking at this season, go back to the end of last season, what I think should be counted as this season's deals. But everything that happened in June, ignoring all these loan deals because they're coming back to us. But Norwich got relegated. They're down into the Championship. So there was some business done here. We sold them Matsima. We loaned them Michael Sant, Josh Kingdom, and Nahima. So that's quite good. Attack midfield, centre midfield. Kingdom is a decent looking striker for the Championship. hoping that they may put a bid in him at the end of that loan deal, and might see him as a solid centre-back. So they kind of got that spine of the team. Centre-back, centre-mid, attacking mid, striker. We'll see how that pays off for Norwich over the course of the season. Also going up Ben Knight, off to Charlton. Didn't really work out for us. Good, young, didn't develop, 22, doesn't have great potential. Could have stuck around as a backup, but just wasn't developing enough for even that, in my opinion. So we sold him. Mukiele, 26, 24 million sold. A good player, but again, not someone we're going to miss. Not someone I felt really improved the team, was just sitting on the bench to sit on the bench. At right back, as you can see, we've got other options right in that kind of mix. We're not missing him there. And at centre back too, if we look there again, we got plenty of options. Our scouts say could play there. It's not an issue. It really wasn't an issue in selling him. So, good money as well. On the whole, I'm happy to get like 30 million for this bunch of players. And especially when you turn it to 40 with Lucas Gomez. Good striker, heads to Derby. Let's see what he can do. But, again, he didn't really play for us. He didn't do anything. It's not a big loss. He was very cheap. Another one of those Portuguese youngsters you can pick up for next to nothing. I really did think we might still be struggling at the bottom end of the Premier League and money would be key, so I did these buy low, sell high deals. But 4 years later, we make a big profit. It doesn't really move the needle for us too much because we've got a ton of money now and we're at the top end of the Premier League. But it's not what I thought we might be. So I kind of hedged my bets a little there. But a good striker, just not good enough. Not homegrown. Not going to be a UK player or an Irish player. So we kind of let go of him. At the same time, bringing in players. Jaime Lopez, saw a little central striker option. Can maybe retrain into midfield if we need to. Not top end potential. A bit disappointed there. That fell off since we bought him. But that's a cheap deal. Paulo Jose, like I say, is one of those that will never be homegrown. And it sucks. I really like him. I was going to turn him into a left back. He could be a very good centre back as well. He's got top end potential. I'm really not sure what to do with him, but we did spend big money on him. And then the other left back prospect I was grooming is going to be Ilian Starkey. 18 million is a big amount. I think I put a bid in of 8. I think they counted with 18 and I didn't notice. I thought it still said 8. I was rushing because there were so many transfers done, as you will see when we look at this season's transfers. Yeah, I think I just rushed, didn't notice, and I did the deals. And we figured it out in a previous video when I was looking and I saw that fee and I'm like, damn. Somehow I've screwed myself. But saying that, he's a young player who looks really good. He's about to turn 17. He looks really good. He's got tons of potential. He'll probably end up being a Welsh international. He's already got an under 21 cap back when he was 16. Yeah. I'm still quite happy to bring him in. And if we look here, yeah, you're looking at like 20 million or just under for this bunch of players. From Jaime Lopez, Ilian Starkey. The only one that might not make it because he's not going to be UK or homegrown is Paulo Jose. But even then, 20 million to get 5 youngsters that would be at varying levels, but at least backup players. You start looking at 4 million. So 4 million for a bench player in the Champions League who is British. I still kind of like those deals. If that's what they get to, I like those deals. Daniel Fenton-Cowan has a shot. Solid mental block. Looks like a good young player. I'm thinking centre-back. I'm definitely thinking centre-back with him. But he does have the flexibility at left-back. Mark Blackmore looks, again, like a decent player. Not as well developed, but again, possibly centre-back. Can play right. And then from Northern Ireland, The United signing, Darren Graham, looks a little better, 4-star potential, looks solid, solid physicals, a mixed bag, some really nice mentals and some concerning ones. And again, I'm not sure where, but I'm actually thinking right back for Darren Graham a little bit. The way he's set up, although we are in need of a centre-back. So, I don't know, really, but I'm kind of banking on Kagri Gerbert. I'm not sure how to pronounce the omelettes, but I'm kind of counting on him to come up big. He's coming from Watford. English, Turkish player, big potential, only 16. Another 5 million on there. So, again, if we spread the cost out over all the players we bought, I think it's an absolute steal. And if we spread the cost out over the players we've lost, I think we've done really well to get the money in we had. So, different cases, like we could have got more for Ben Knight. We should have got more for Matsima and Mukiele. But we probably got more than we should have for Lucas Gomez. And you'll see the next season as well. There's even more of that kind of dealing where we're getting more money in than we should. So, you can argue individual players, too much money, too little money. But at the end of the day, I think as a whole, we've got enough money in for who we let go. And we've spent less than we should have for who we've brought in. And we're trending in the right direction. So with him, Ben Knight's replacement, another Man City attacking midfielder, Shane Knott. More potential, younger, just as good now. Apparently training like an absolute beast early on in his Swansea career, which I adore. Not a bad con at all, really. We can kind of work on some of these things, and he shouldn't need too much heading. He's a League 2 player right now, which, that's fine. He's still like 2 or 3 years away from the first team, maybe. But like I say, he's a leader, he's versatile, a team player, brave, consistent, professional, and he's already killing it in training. So he's off to a great start. We'll see how he develops. But 400,000 is my upgrade from Ben Knight to Shane Knott. And I absolutely think that is an amazing upgrade to have. Another right back, Aaron Joseph from Chelsea. There he loads. Another prospect, another maybe backup, maybe becomes a first team. We'll see how Blasco goes. Joins, spoiler alert, is another signing in there as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that kind of makes me think, does Graham go to centre-back? I'm not sure. But yeah, I kind of like the deal. I think he's a good little player. Again, 1.5 million, not a ton. Glenn Blackburn, the centre mid prospect. Again, probably like not ready to come up to the first team till he's maybe 20. But could be really solid, really good. Maybe a starter, maybe a bench rotation player. We'll see. But potentially he has it in him to be a Tonali and Rice kind of standard. So can't really fault that. Again, not a huge price. Hasn't really played much for Fulham. Hasn't really played at all for us yet. But we'll see how he develops. And again, like the money is quite good. And then Carlos Vito, 8 million down and 2 million in clauses. Very good young goalie. Him and Luna were so close to me. Luna had already been out on loan. Luna cannot become homegrown or get a British passport, more than likely. Vito, I think, is the best choice out of the two. I think he's the best choice out of the two. We've already got a Colombian in Rincon in the team. So let's bring a Brazilian in. So I think we're getting rid of a few Brazilians. And our last Brazilian starter would have been Kai Jorge. So it's been a couple of years now since we've kind of had that. So Vito on the bench for us this season, coming in for 10 million. And as a backup, career backup, I think that's good. He does have the potential maybe to even push Sanchez out. So yeah, we sold Roning to get Sanchez in the team for 74 and change. Like if Vito can replace him instead and we sell Sanchez, or Sanchez becomes long-term backup, or if Corta becomes long-term backup and we sell multiple goalkeepers, like I think we're good no matter what. We've got the options. That's what counts. Again, I'd like to run through the outgoings before the ingoings. Explain the thought process a little bit, but Bono wanted to leave. Got pushed out the team by Rincon, thanks to my assistant keeping on picking him last season. And yeah, as good as he was and as young as he was, the moment he wanted to leave and the moment my assistant kept picking like an 18-year-old to replace him, I just knew that this was a deal we were likely to do this summer. I didn't realize that Liverpool were interested. I didn't really know how much money we were talking, but it ends up at 70. I think, yeah, that's all we can get. I think it's something like 50 million now and 10 million for the next 2 seasons. Or it might be 60 now and then 10 million payment. Or at least that's what the deal was. Maybe it was all up front in the end, but I think that's kind of what I was looking at with Liverpool. But, yeah. I still think he was our second best centre-back, but my assistant disagrees. And we're getting younger and better long-term. So that kind of money I can't really turn down, and I'm happy to do the deal. Sousa on the bench and back up to Demir. Still looks really good. Could be a really effective player. He's gone over to France. We'll see how he plays and how he develops. But again, we bought him really cheap. We sold him really high. And he was never really going to break into our team. So a good deal there. Wagwe, we couldn't get the 53 I think he was valued at. But I'm happy with the money we did get. 40 million for a player like him. 3-star player. And having Blasco to just, completely replace him. I think if we just jump back and forth, there's not too much in between them at all. So, from that point of view, I'm really kind of happy to do that deal, although he did become an important key cog in our machine, really. So, kudos to him. From Barcelona to Swansea, now big money move to Tottenham. Congratulations, and a Premier League medal to boot. Let's not forget. Willem even is a solid striker. Again, really nice, but we're kind of solid on our striking core. We've got Asprilla coming in as our rule breaker, and we've got a very good core of young UK and Irish strikers, so there just wasn't a pathway. And so I'd rather sell him at his age. Obregon, same in centre-back. Another Colombian, but we've already got Rincon, Luna in goal. We got so many Colombians. Plus, we're bringing in Asprilla, and it was tough to get into centre back. Wouldn't have been homegrown. Wouldn't have had a passport. So we'll make our money. It's a decent amount of money. Jean Vidal. Now, his potential when he was with us was quite high. We sold him to Charlton. Our scouts have gone back in and told us he's not that great. So I don't know who to believe, but he looks really good, and he had a monster season on loan at Charlton last year. So he hit 35 goals in 46 league games in the Championship. Got them to third. They didn't quite go up. If we look last season, you can see through the playoffs, they just missed out to Raul Luna's goalkeeping efforts, pushing West Ham above them. But they did miss out in the playoffs, and Brighton went up instead. So he's back there now, full time, 14.25. 2 games, 3 goals to open up his real account with them. And I think he's going to be an absolute phenomenal player for Charlton. Absolutely phenomenal. So maybe he's as good as he ever will be, but he's got another decade at least, I think, at Charlton, and should be a good piece to help you get promoted. He won't be able to do it on his own, maybe, but you can count on possibly 25 to 30 goals every season in the league alone from him. So we'll see how he gets off, but so far so good. Really, really liked him, but again, tough to break into that forward lineup if you're not British and if you do not have a homegrown status, or will not get one. So there was that. Luis Carbonell, exactly the same. I believe he was out at Roma. Was he Roma? Oh, he was Bristol City. He did okay. Yeah, he did okay. Who was at Roma? That might be Cavalcanti, perhaps. But anyway, Calvin up, decent amount of money out. First team goalkeeper, Tim Roning, big money. He wanted to go, we'd agreed a fee for him and Brewster. And so when that fee was met, I had to agree. Atletico Madrid come in for another one of our first team players. They picked up George. Now they've got Tim Roning. Very good. Already starting to play for them. Play for Sweden, I believe. Yeah, and doing quite well. Was an absolute monster for us. I can't wait to see what he does for them. I really can't. I think he is one of my favorite players in the team that we've had. And he's been a rock and he's been there for ages. Very cheap to buy. Ends up being a beast and can sell him at a humongous profit when you get that superstar prospect. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Tim Roning. Cavalcanti, were you at Roma? No. Who the hell was at Roma? I need to go find out. This is bugging me now. Thought I had a striker out at Roma. Oh, it was Guillaume. It was Guillaume. We've already looked at him. That's fine. But yeah, Cavalcanti, again, can raise to about 15 million or 14 million. Very solid, very good. Not homegrown, no passport, and won't really be joining us. It's tough to break through in attack. That's just the way it goes. Djubric, left back. We had some big left backs coming in. I wanted to make room for them, basically. I didn't want him as a backup. I didn't think we needed him as a backup. Mora's a good long-term backup. Facey's a great starter. We got Starkey. We've got other left backs that we've got there. We had Paulo Jose, who now we might not keep anyway, but he was coming in. So Jurisic made his move. Faustino, another buy low, sell high from Portugal. Very solid, but 22, not going to make it at the club. Might as well move him on while we had the chance. Put him out on loan. And then big money moves. Graham Brewster, 110 million. An absolute machine for us since he joined. Absolute machine. 26 million. He scored more than a goal every other game in his debut season at the club in the Premier League. So pretty much what he did on loan for us. Then he went back to Liverpool. They sold him to Sheffield United. I went in early because he wasn't getting used. We picked him up. He did the business. Then he broke the goal scoring record in the Premier League. 36 goals, beating Shearer and Cole's 34 apiece. Andrew Cole and Alan Shearer. Phenomenal season. Big clubs were always after him after this point. And then again, more than a goal every other game. So you could just count on him to be a solid goal scorer for us. But had really good young prospects I wanted to go for. We agreed a price of 100 million. Villa came in above that. I let him talk. They went and paid him money. And I was happy to do that deal at that point. I think we got more than our money's worth out of Brewster. And we still end up with a £30 million profit. Or £34 million profit. No, that's not right. That's not right. £84 million profit. Yeah, there we go. Wow, my brain. Which is almost, if you add that and, you know, some of the other profits, like a Faustino profit, that's almost 10 million profit there. Plus that 84 million profit. Like, just by buying and selling those two players, one of which did absolute bits for us over 3 years. That's enough money to buy Giovanni Reina. So if you're able to play the market in the right way, you come up as big winners. Calvert-Lewin we could have got more money for. We didn't. Brewster was wanted by Chelsea. They didn't end up even bidding on him. But they did bid on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And at the moment, you know, Arsenal lost 5 million. We lost... Did they eventually pay? Yes, they did. But yeah, we paid 55 for him. And then we've lost 1 million, but a chance to make 5 million profit in the end. And again, 1 in 3 on a rotation player off the bench. It's tough to get into this side. 27. Unless he absolutely killed it for us, I was really going to move him out because Yannick Halstead was such a beast and took his spot. Loan deals all the way down then, apart from Javi Cordoba, who, again, very solid player, but wouldn't be homegrown and didn't have a passport, didn't have 5-star potential. As good as he was, and I was going to keep him for a couple of seasons to get his value up, but the bid came in, 12.5, it could rise to. He's already worth double that. It's a great deal for Bilbao. It's a great deal. He's Basque. He's phenomenal. He's going to get much better. And he's already worth almost double what they paid. So, or what they will pay. So, I can't fault it. He also had a good time in League One. So, he's gone out and shown he can do it. But, yeah, now he gets his chance to shine. And good luck to him. I don't think we're going to really miss him, but so be it. Of this 451, like I say, the big four are really where the money comes from. You're looking at Bournemouth. You're looking at Brewster. You're looking at Calvert-Lewin. And you're looking at... Where's Wagway gone? There he is. And Wagway. So, there's a bunch of others as well, like Sousa, Anguillam, Dow, Carbonell, Cavalcanti, Faustino. Like, there's a bunch then between the 10 and 20 million kind of marker. But yeah, Bournemouth, Wagway, Roning, Brewster, and Calvert-Lewin, the 5 of them. That's where most of that money comes from. And that's our first choice striker from last season, who turned into our second, but first choice, technically, a starting goalkeeper, a starting right back, what should have been our second choice striker, but ended up as our third, because Halstead jumped from 4th to 1 in a single season. And our vice-captain, and should have been second centre-back, but the assistant downgraded and played a youngster. So, an absolute ton of money. Sorry to see most of them go. Which joins young right-back, decent fee, I think. Not going to be absolutely amazing, but looks so solid now. Could be, again, a long-term backup. I don't know. We got players all over the place. We got some other young players, Macaulay, Spencer, Elliott. I'm not going to mention them all. You will see most of these don't have a big sort of fee to them. If we look at Spencer, for example, now he doesn't look amazing. 3-star player. You know, we still had to pay a decent amount of money. Macaulay is, you know, a 2.5-star player, doesn't look good. We had to pay a decent fee. Most of these players we didn't. There's very few that we paid a big fee, but you can see the amount of players we brought in. Because I was fed up of not having a youth team. The one that did cost money is Aaron Hay. The reason for that is he's got 4-star potential. He's another attacking midfield prospect. We're doubling down. We're getting that kind of, that player in numbers. So young, promising British attacking mids. One of them should be able to work out and long-term be a backup, a starter for us in that position. He's very young, very determined, left-footed. Not too many attacking midfielders I've had an actual left-footer right now in terms of the depth and the youth. So that was a very nice pickup for us. But everything else is basically under $1 million. Some are hundreds of pounds. Some are hundreds of thousands. But, yeah. Even got a free transfer or two along the way with a little bit of potential. Probably released just for his height. But pretty decent. And then the one big deal that we did have as well is Cosme, that centre back who kind of pushed Contry down to third. And Cosme is a good young player who will become homegrown and probably will be in the first team long enough to get his passport. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. So, yeah. We brought in Paulo Jose, who might not make it, but Cosme probably will. And right now, Carlos Vitor is starting. So if they work out and nobody else does, I'm going to be really happy. And in fact, I'm starting to think about Cosme in the first team this season instead of Rincon. And Rincon was the man who ousted our vice captain and £70 million sale, Sebastian Bornau. So, yeah. I think these are really good deals. And if we lose on the other Brazilians, so be it. We've got enough profit to cover. As you can see, we've made an absolute ton of profit. So, promotion to the Premier League, winning the Championship, you had to spend to kind of get there. That was kind of crazy, but £50 million loss that season. Then, the next season, we make a profit of 168 million. Our first in the Premier League, finish in the top 6. Then we finish third in the Premier League and still make like 195 million. Last season, a Champions League season, got all the way to the quarterfinal. We won the Europa League in this one, so UEFA Super Cup, Premier League champions for the first time. The FA Cup and League Cup, go the European Super Cup. Just magic season. We did lose 44 million there. So when we've won the Championship, we won the Premier League, we spent more than we've actually brought in. But we're allowed to because we built up our buffer, and this is a massive builder here. Almost 400 million. That puts us at 760 million in the bank. I want to buy a stadium. The whole goal is to buy a stadium. It's not going to happen this season. We tried it at the end of last season. It failed. Instead, they decided that they wanted to, there we go, expand the stadium. We tried to buy the stadium. We tried to build a new stadium. We didn't get planning permission the season before last, or at the end of the season before last. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Youth facilities were downgraded. They're being re-upgraded. We're trying to expand the stadium to the full 45,000. I think that's the limit, if I remember correctly, for the Liberty. So at the end of this year, we will be, well, in a little over a year's time, really, we will be at our max capacity of 45,000, which is good enough, but I still want to build a stadium. And we do have the money for it. We have an absolute ton of money right now in the wage budget. We have a ton of money in the transfer budget. So we could have 250 million or 6 million in wages. It's up to us. I think a little over 1 million there. 200 million in the transfer budget is going to be good. This season, they're far happier with us about signing the high-profile players. And we're already playing possession and entertaining football. Attacking football, that's going to be, a little bit of a focus this year, more than possession and high-tempo pressing. We've kind of moved away from that than possession, so we'll kind of see how that worked out. But it didn't look good last season, and we still were lauded for our successes. Everything looks really good. We're kind of, really dialed into our plan moving forward. So, knockout round of the Champions League. We more than passed that last season, so we should be in line this season, unless losing Röning, who's really the only big first team player that we did lose. So we'll see how our goalkeeping situation develops. Qualified for the UEFA Europa League, really lowballing the league. We won the league last year. I expect to be in the title hunt again, unless that goalkeeping situation is too big of a downgrade. FA Cup semi-final, don't care about the League Cup. I'm not worried about either. We've won them both last season. So that's kind of a youth team project, in my opinion. But yeah, 2026, so in a year's time, we need to qualify for the Champions League and win the Domestic Cup. We did both those last year. We could do those this year. We could overachieve again. My contract then will be up. But over a 5-year plan, they want us to win the Premier League. Again, we won it last year. We could win it this year. So we're probably going to look around January for a new contract ourselves. That's going to be big. We'll see how we're doing. But I think we're in a really good place. Like I say, I just want... I don't like these these blue lines. But if you do that and you clear the highlighted box around the players, that disappears because they're connected. They're showing you the players that can play in the position that is somehow highlighted. Little graphical glitches, but they do annoy me. But yeah, that's the first team squad. As I say, I think we look really deep. I think we've got some good players at the club, and the core of the team as well. Centre back, 2 of our 3 centre mids, our attacking midfield, and 1 of the strikers. I think that's pretty solid. Age-wise, we're young. We are young. Damir's 21, Tonali 24, Rice 25, Meffam 26, and Brooks and Cook at 27. Our club captain is Lewis Cook. Our vice captain is Chris Meffam. Long term, our club captain probably in a year or 2 might switch to being Declan Rice when Cook leaves. And Meffam, if he leaves, I need to find another option. I don't know who that would be. Depends who's in the team at that point. Potentially, like Sauer's only been called up. Brooks is probably going to be sold. Martin Savage is going to be sold. Cook in a couple of years before he hits 30 is probably going to get sold. Similar with Meffam. Conchi's going to be sold. So, like, our lowest potential kind of players are 3 to 4 stars in Rincon and Mora. Both of which could be sold. Declan Rice, 4-star, 4-star. Even Tonali could be sold. You look at that and you think, you know, we've got the potential to be really good. We're starting to get our wages up to the level they should be. I don't really want to break 300,000 yet, but we're moving in that direction. Halstead, Tonali, Damir all on 250, Cook and Rice 200, and Vice Captain Meffam is 175. Down to 100 grand for Beachy and Facey, both of which are great young British players. Yeah, again, there's 22 players in the first team squad. King and Sauer do not count, but that's my first and second 11s. If I going to be too many players listed, basically, if I show you squad numbers for the entire squad. The under 18 is the main one. But there are players being sent down into the under 18, and I don't have it in me to really make that change. So, I think King is the only player, the fake goalkeeper, is the only player that isn't actually a real player. If I remove him, 197 players at this football club. 197. 200. 205. 210. 211. That's currently where we are. 211 players that are going to be at the club. You can see just how long it takes to load the numbers we have. But yeah, good numbers of each position. There's our right back core, centre back core, left back core. And remember, there's a left back, a right back, and a ton of centre backs coming through. Some centre, 1 or 2 attacking midfielders, and a single striker coming in as well. Defensive-minded midfielders, central midfielders, central attacking, and then the strikers. We've got good numbers. Again, for some reason, this glitch might have happened. I might be wrong here. Thought I saw 1 or 2 players that weren't selected in the first team that kind of had it. But maybe I was misseeing things there. Perhaps. Yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. And as you can see, first team players in the mix. But even those in the reserves that could play. We've got people like Felicia, Tamas, Enrique Guerra, Luna, Durgil, Milzewski, down to 2 stars. That's usually my bench players. And we have an absolute ton of them. An absolute ton of them. You've got a bunch of actual young players as well, youth ratings. We look at potentially. A lot of these young players will not make it. But they're there to play in the under-18s for now. And I'm okay with that. We haven't been bringing in our youth intakes. I think we're just going to bring in youth intakes to make sure the under-18 team is stacked. But I think we're good for a couple of years. And even then, we're still up to 2.5 stars relatively quickly. And then we're up to 3 stars relatively quickly. And 3 is where I'd normally keep players. So out of the 197 players that we have at the club right now, 85 could be sold. That would leave us with 112. And I that's still more than enough for 3 squads. So we'll see how they work out. But 3-star and above, again, so many good prospects, so many here, and a ton of under-18s players. So tons of players that are 16 in that mix, and we're quite decently up, just over halfway in the team here. You can see we're up to 3.5 stars, and then the 4-star players begin. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. And again, potentially not in the first team. Heathcote, Ignacio, Enrique, Graham, Tomasz, Cooper, Hay, Felicia, Grant, Milivesky, Freedom, Blackburn, Joseph, Knott, George Hernandez, Gaston Martens, Michael Sand, Paulo Jose, Hood, Dougal, Naismith, Starkey, and Gubus. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, no? Kind of interesting. There's far too many players now. But we've got squad numbers, we've got quality, we've got potential, we're young, we're moving towards homegrown, we are moving towards everyone having a British passport. There will be some rule breakers to those rules, but I don't really care right now, because I think we've done more than enough to set us up on the right path that way. Only game played so far this year. Demir gets us off in the in the Community Shield. Great start for us. Chris Jones equalises. Fabinho late on. We were so good, but we lost our concentration at the end of the first and the second half. Ends up costing us. We didn't play amazing. We didn't play badly. And yeah, we didn't play with Sanchez in goal. But at the moment, Sanchez, Cosme, and Martin Sevic, they're all at the Olympic Games. So he qualifies top of his group, and Brazil, so that'll be top of their group, and Croatia's top of their group. Who's the third player? Martin Sevic, Sanchez, so Spain. Whereas Spain, they qualified second behind Argentina. So Sanchez is a starting goalie. Guerra's also there, one of our young centre mids. That is fine. There's only 4 groups. I can just do this. Cosme and Paulo Jose are the starting centre backs for Brazil. And got those 2 there. And Martin Sevic is, of course, a starting midfielder alongside Palaversa in that Croatian team. So again, they're there, but they're by and large playing, doing bits. We'll see how that works out for them, but it does kind of hurt us right now not having Sanchez. Not a ton, but enough. So we did lose that opening game. The fixture list as a whole, we start off with that game against Liverpool, then Chelsea at home, Spurs away, Man City at home. Not an easy start, really. Arsenal, Man United back-to-back here. And then Brighton in the way, but yeah, we do face Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Tottenham once again. Arsenal, Man United, and we do finish off with a trip to Anfield as the penultimate, maybe game that decides the Premier League title. If we're good all season and Liverpool are good all season, we could be in that range. I do expect fixtures to change in terms of the cup games and Europe, sort of pushing them around. I don't know what the actual schedule will end up as, but I do think that these are our toughest kind of runs of the season between Liverpool and Tottenham here. And at the start of the season, Liverpool through Man City, and just having Liverpool away, and Arsenal, Man United's back-to-back. We'll see how they work out. But yeah, we're actually going to get to the Chelsea game in the next video because this has run long. That's what happens when you buy 200 players and you need to do a seasonal update video. But yeah, join me next time for that. And we'll see how we go. Hopefully Calvert-Lewin does not score against us. We are going to find out, though, in the next one. As I say, thank you very much for the continued support. As always, thank you very much, guys. It does mean the world. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see more. What do you think we're going to do this season? Am I right or wrong to have sold or bought the players I did? And what do you think of my first team now for the future? And what do we need to make in terms of additional signings, changes? What am I missing? Let me know. Quick little look at dynamics. Things look absolutely fantastic, but let me know. If you see anything you think I'm missing, the Brazilians here, the new Englishman down here, we're kind of in two groups already. Conchi wants a new contract. He rejected the one I offered him earlier, which is why he hasn't been done. The rest have been done. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Stay safe. Behave yourselves. And I wish you all the very best of luck. I'll see you soon.